A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv News Update at 3. I am Ruth Ogbodu and now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu will serve as the special guest of honor at the National Economic Council Conference, aimed at strengthening Nigeria's economic coordination and promoting inclusive growth across all states. The conference is scheduled to hold on Monday, February 9 at the Presidential Villa in Abuja and will be chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. The two-day event, convened by the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, will bring together governors of the 36 states and key national stakeholders to deliberate on strategies for sustainable economic growth. Deborah Odo, Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning and Secretary of the National Economic Council, said that the discussions will focus on pressing macroeconomic priorities and nationwide development strategies. A public enlightenment movement has showcased selected development projects executed by President Bola Tinubu across northern Nigeria to residents of Kano State. The group screened the project to sensitize the public on the need to support the president ahead of the 2027 general election. Coordinator Dr. Nuru Abdullahi highlighted key road projects in Jigawa, Katsina, and Kano State, as well as the Ajokuta, Okene, and Akwanga corridors, noting that the initiatives are aimed at improving traffic flow, boosting commercial activities, and supporting agricultural distribution. Abdullahi also featured interventions by President Bola Tinubu at the Miyasu Federal Medical Center, alongside other ongoing programs. The group reaffirmed the president's commitment to delivering the dividends of democracy to Nigerians.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu for public awareness and transparency. Phases 5 and 6 highlight key road infrastructure projects being executed under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, including the works along Barbara in Jigawa State and Dawano in Kano State corridors, which are improved traffic flow, strengthening commercial activities, and supporting agricultural distribution in major economic areas. Further intervention under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu include road improvements around Funtua in Katsina State, enhancing access for farming and communities along the corridor, as well as the progress along the Kano-Hadeja route, where better road conditions are reducing travel time and improving safety for commuters.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have arrested a 62-year-old Lagos-based businessman, Wambueze Nicholas Izuke, at the Mala Aminu Kano International Airport. Kano, while heading to China with 95 jumbo-sized wraps of cocaine weighing 1.589 kilograms buried in his stomach. NDLEA said Wambueze was arrested on Saturday, 31st of January 2026 at the Kano airport during the outward clearance of passengers going to China via Addis Ababa on Ethiopia Airlines flight ET940. When taken for a body scan, it tested positive for ingesting an illicit drugs and was promptly placed under excretion observation. While under observation, the suspect, who claims is into the clothing and auto spare parts business in Lagos, expelled a total of 95 pellets of the class, a drug, in 7 excretions. In a statement, he claimed he decided to engage in illicit drug trafficking to raise enough money to complete the country home is building in his village, Uwolu, Enugu State. The agency also disclosed that a total of 2.7 kilograms of skunk, a strain of cannabis, were recovered from a makeshift warehouse within Fums Plaza in Kuba, FCT, while attended by Ebube Okeke, Evans Ugu Mohamed Eze Arenze, and Friday Michael to smuggle consignment of methamphetamine concealed in MP3 speakers from Enugu to Abuja and Kaduna was on Friday 6th of February, foiled by NDLEA operatives in Abuja, while operatives intercepted the consignments in a bus. The Kebbi state government has approved over 714 million to support indigent students studying medicines, pharmacy, and other allied courses in foreign universities. The approval was announced by the Commissioner for Higher Education, Alhaji Issa Abubakar Tonga, during a press briefing. According to the Commissioner, the funds have already been released to assist Kebbi State students pursuing overseas training in critical health-related disciplines. It said the move reflects Governor Nasir's vision to build a strong and competitive education sector in the state. The Commissioner described the decision as a demonstration of Governor's commitment to education and advancement, noting that it aligns with the administration's reform agenda to reposition the state's tertiary institution to meet global standards.
For approval of His Excellency, Comrade Dr. Nasir in January 2026, to the Ministry for Higher Education to a total of 714,981,142. The Executive Governor has also approved the appointment of Nurse Dr. Mohammed Muntala Musa as the Pioneer Provost to the Kaurangwandu College of Midwifery Sciences and Bursa. So the Ministry for Higher Education remains committed to the standards and epitomes of His Excellency Comrade Dr. Nasir Kaurangwandu on this giant and spread assistance to give students in the state.
The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has directed an emergency plenary session on Tuesday, February 10th. Senate Clerk Emmanuel Odo announced the developments, stating that all senators have been requested to attend, with the session scheduled to begin at 12 o'clock noon. The emergency city comes amid mounting pressure on the National Assembly to revisit Clause 60, subsection 3 of the Electoral Amendment Bill, which addresses the electronic transmission of election results. Last Wednesday, the Senate retained the provision for electronic transfer of results as outlined in the Electoral Act 2022, but rejected a proposal to mandate real-time electronic transmission. The Senate had passed the Electoral Bill 2026 after hours of debate, approving reforms to election timelines, penalties for electoral offenses, and voting technology, while stopping short of enforcing real-time results transmission. The emergency city is expected to clarify the contentious clause and address concerns raised by stakeholders, including the Nigeria Labour Congress. And now to the business news. The World Bank has reduced a planned grant to the Central Bank of Nigeria from $10.5 million to $6.8 million, with broad consideration now scheduled for March 27th. The funding remains a grant, not a loan, and is aimed at supporting the CBN's technical assistance facility. The report.
The The project, which has advanced to the decision-making stage ahead of final board approval, is designed to strengthen the CBN's technology-driven and data-based supervision of Nigeria's banking sector. It also seeks to improve oversight of domestic payments and remittance system, addressing both existing and emerging financial risks. The reverse $6.8 million grant will be fully financed through the Finance for Development Multi-Donor Trust Fund, with no involvement from the World Bank's lending arm, meaning it will not add to Nigeria's external debt. The Central Bank of Nigeria will serve as the implementing agency for the project. The Nigeria Customs Service has once again reaffirmed its commitment to secure border governance and facilitate transit trade, following the federal government approval to reopen the Samiya border corridor in Kebbi State, according to a statement on Sunday by the National Public Relations Officer of the NCS, Abdullahi Maiwada. The decision was made known during a high-level stakeholders engagement held on Saturday at the Government House, Kebbi State. The statement explained that the engagement brought together security agencies, traditional leaders, economic operators, and international custom representatives. The engagement also provided a strategic platform to examine practical measures to strengthen Nigeria's northwest border architecture while ensuring legitimate trade flows seamlessly under strict compliance protocol. European equity futures moved higher on Monday, taking cues from strong gains in Asia, with Japan's weekend election delivered a landslide result that pushed Tokyo stock to record high. Future for the Euro Stocks 50, Germany DAX, and the UK FTSE were all up about 0.4% ahead of the market open. Shares of Novo Nordisk climbed around 4.5% after reports that US telehealth firm Hims & Hers will stop offering a low-cost GLP-1 pill, following warning from the US Food and Drug Administration. Incorporates earnings, Italy Unicredit raised its profit outlook, adding to the positive market sentiment. Deal activity was also in focus. A consortium led by Advent, alongside FedEx, agreed to acquire parcel locker company InPost in a deal valued at about $9.2 billion. Separately, reports said NatWest is nearing a €2.5 billion takeover of Evelyn Partners, while mining giant Anglo American is moving to sell its Diamond De Beers, with Angola seeking a 20% to 30% stake. Favour Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
At least 9 people have died and multiple others were wounded after 2 adjoining residential buildings collapsed on Sunday in the Ba'a Tabane neighborhood of Tripoli, the head of the multiple council and civil defense officials said. The death toll has risen from earlier reports of 6 fatalities as search and rescue teams continue operations. The reports.
The house-story structure, each containing about 6 apartments and reportedly housing at least 22 residents at the time of the collapse, gave way in one of the city's most densely populated and impoverished districts. Rescue crews, aided by the Lebanese Red Cross and local volunteers, have pulled at least 6 people alive from the rubble and taken them to hospital, while others remain trapped on the debris. Emergency services, including civil defense and internal security forces, evacuated neighboring buildings amid fears they too could collapse due to structural instability. Residents and officials describe chaotic scenes as neighbors rushed to help clear rubble with limited equipment. Lebanese President Joseph Oyen ordered all emergency services to remain on high alert and provide shelter and support for displaced residents. Prime Minister Yawaf Salam expressed condolences and pledged government assistance, including housing allowances for those who have lost homes. He described the incident as a tragedy resulting from years of infrastructure neglect and urged that it not be politicized. Local authorities and activists pointed to a long-standing crisis of unsafe aging buildings in Tripoli, exacerbated by decades of economic hardship, lax enforcement of building codes, illegal construction practices, and damage from past conflicts and earthquakes. Municipal officials have warned that thousands of structures in the city are at risk of collapse in urgent inspections and reinforcements are not carried out. An official investigation into the collapse has been ordered, with government ministers meeting to coordinate emergency responses and long-term housing safety plans. Meanwhile, residents of the neighborhood continue to grapple with grief, fear and uncertainty as the rescue effort presses on. Favour Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
And now to the entertainment news. Nollywood actress Peggy Ovire recently sparked speculation about a marriage to Frederick Leonard after sharing an Instagram post about infidelity involving a married man and a married woman. The post reignited public interest in earlier claims by veteran producer Starlin On Top, who alleged in 2024 that Peggy and Frederick's marriage was false and had already ended. The report.
In her post, Peggy posed a question to women about how they would react if they discovered their partner was having an affair with a married woman who has children. She described a situation where a husband publicly praises the other woman but privately belittles her to his wife, calling her local to avoid raising suspicion. According to the post, the wife trusted her husband's repeated denials that the relationship was anything more than friendship. The narrative further revealed that after marriage, the husband began comparing his wife unfavorably to the married side chick. Eventually, the wife discovered that her husband and the woman were meeting secretly at his apartment during work hours or in hotels, exposing the affairs he had persistently denied. In another development, Nigerian rapper and activist Falz has criticized the country's leadership and religious institutions over rising insecurity, lack of accountability, and a continued cycle of poor governance. In a recent commentary, Falz expressed frustration over recurring violence attacks across the country, lamenting that mass killings are often followed only by official statements without arrest or prosecution. He questioned the effectiveness of government responses and accused authorities of failing to protect citizens or deliver justice. The rapper also faulted religious leaders for focusing on spiritual solutions while allegedly allowing politicians to use church platforms for political campaigning. According to him, this practice contributes to voters repeatedly supporting leaders who have failed to address critical national issues. K-pop Demon Hunter songwriter Mark Sonnenblick has confirmed that a sequel of Netflix's most watched animated film is currently in development, describing the follow-up as in process. The new adds to growing momentum around the franchise, with creator Maggie Kang previously stating that there's definitely more to explore in the story and its characters. Sonnenblick has had a remarkable year, winning a Global Globe and a Grammy and earning an Academy Award nomination for co-writing Golden, the film's breakout hit and the first K-pop song to win a Grammy. Speaking after learning the song had been shortlisted for an Oscar, he credited fans for the recognition, saying the success was driven by audiences who embraced the film and encouraged others to watch it. While discussing about a sequel continue, Sonnenblick said development will begin with the story before any new music is written, ensuring the song serves the narrative. Alongside this, he is preparing for the London opening for his new musical Midnight at the Never Get This Summer at the Manian Chocolate Factory, starring Ben Platt and set in an illegal gay bar in 1960s New York. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn Zibli reporting for Beetv News.
And that's the end of our news update. Thank you for joining and stay tuned at 6 for our major news. I am Ruth Obodu. Bye for now.